2024 Paris Olympic Summer Games officially began today in Paris, but in Evansville, city leaders are also focused on winning gold. 14's Caroline Clapp joins us in studio after attending the lunch conference hosted by EREP this afternoon.
Randy, the mayors of Evansville, Henderson, Mount Vernon, and Princeton are all working together to make the region a better place to live and work. And this year's theme is all about going for the gold.
There's a lot happening in this region. There's a lot of opportunities for potential growth.
CEO of the Evansville Regional Economic Partnership, Lloyd Winnicky, lit the torch to start off this year's Lunch with the Mayors event. Stephanie Terry, Princeton Mayor Greg Wright, Henderson Mayor Brad Staten, and Mount Vernon Mayor Steve Layer joined on stage together as our very own Randy Moore led a discussion about the work underway to grow the area. They focused on several topics, including housing.
At a minimum, by this time next year, by spring next year, we want to have either started or completed 300 additional 50 units of housing in our community. So it's a really exciting time.
Quality of life.
We have an $18 million sports complex that's absolutely beautiful, that's going to be able to complement some of the things that are going on in Evansville.
And plans for the future. Princeton Mayor Greg Wright says they are so grateful to have Toyota in their backyard, but with that comes a growing need for more housing.
We need places for these folks to come live because a lot of those folks are driving several hours to work every day. So we are focusing on housing, quality of life projects that will entice those folks to find Princeton attractive.
Mount Vernon Mayor Steve Layer says a big goal they are working on is bringing more business to the downtown area. Listening to everyone's goals and ideas all makes each other stronger, which all of the mayors agree is invaluable.
I think what I take away and I find value in is having a network of peers that I can pose questions to, that we can brainstorm because at varying levels, we're all dealing with the same issues, and so it's important that we're able to make that connection. We're thankful to EREP for being a bridge and ensuring that happens.
In Evansville, Caroline Clapp, 14 News.